In 2024, 43,630 people entered the UK illegally. 36,816 of them by boat, the rest by clandestine methods. Some unknown. Back of lorries, in a fridge, whatever. In 2025, 51,000 people, that's an increase, 51,000 people, up from 43,630, entered the UK illegally. 41,472 of them came by boat. That is an invasion by anyone's measure. By the way, if you're anything like me, I'm aware there are a lot of numbers there. Maybe too many numbers. So you might just need some visual imagery to help you understand quite the gravitas of what I'm saying there. Ibrox Rangers Ground holds 51,000 people. Imagine a full Ibrox full of asylum seekers coming in 2025. Anyway, here's some more numbers. In 2025, 110,051 asylum claims were made. Still awaiting a decision for asylum is 62,200. Those numbers are staggeringly high. And those are people that need food, shelter, healthcare, water, heating, all the amenities that you and I have to work incredibly hard for. They will be given by the state whilst these claims are being awaited. And then inevitably, because this is the way our system works now, they'll be given asylum, they'll go into the system and get exactly the same for free once again. Official figures show that there are 36,000 asylum seekers in hotels and around 71,000 in dispersal accommodation in the private rented sector. So that's over 100,000 people currently in private sector housing, HMOs, hotels, roaming free, that need housing because we have allowed them in. What is this government proposing that we do about it? Well, the headline in the Daily Mail reads, "New council houses to be built for asylum seekers in a push to end use of hotels with intense backlash expected." No shit, Sherlock. Asylum seekers will be housed in newly built council houses as part of a push to end the use of asylum hotels and private landlords. By the way, which isn't a solution. The solution is for them not to come in the first place, but hey, let's continue with the story, shall we? Around 200 local authorities have indicated interest in the government pilot scheme that would fund the building of new properties or the refurbishment of derelict housing to make room for asylum seekers. 5 councils, Brighton and Hove, surprise, surprise, Peterborough, Thanet and Powys have confirmed they are keen to take part in the scheme. However, the proposals are expected to spark fury among the public, many of whom are sitting on long waiting lists for council housing themselves. Everybody knows this. The demand is well outstripping the supply. The idea at surface level that any authority or government would think this is a good idea exposes just how out of touch they are. But anyway, last year, 1.3 million people were on the housing waiting lists across England, a 3% increase from 2023 and the highest number since 2014. Yet supply is not meeting demand, with 20,560 social homes lost in 2023/2024, primarily through right-to-buy sales and demolitions. England will sell off more than 8 times as many council houses in 2025-26 as were constructed in the previous year, researchers found. I'm not quite sure how they're going to achieve that. Official figures show that there are 36,000 asylum seekers in hotels, around 71,000 in dispersal accommodation in the private rented sector. That's well over 100,000 asylum seekers just out there. Just out there across hotels and private property. With a Home Office report identifying billions of pounds squandered on asylum accommodation, left-wing council leaders have insisted this scheme will provide savings for the taxpayer. Will it? I'm not sure how they work savings out. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm sure it's covered in the story. But if this is just about pounds and pence, I think people are much less interested in that, to be honest. We have great swathes of the British population, the working class British population, waiting to get a council house. This is not the solution. It cannot be the solution unless those people waiting have already been housed. Bella Sankey, leader of the Labour-run Brighton and Hove City Council, told the iPaper that the current system of housing asylum seekers is seeing taxpayers' monies creamed off for handsome profits by private companies. Man, do the lefty, liberal, progressive, Labourite, Green Party types hate people making money. They hate people making money. This is what it's about to them. Asylum seekers good, people making money bad. The cost of the contracts awarded to Serco, Clear Springs and Mears between 2019 and 2029 to lease hotels and landlords' homes has tripled from £4.5 billion to £15.3 billion, according to the figures from the National Audit Office. £15 billion awarded in contracts. That's incredible. Ms. Sankey said, owning more of our own housing that can be used much more flexibly in the future, would be a win-win. Now, I don't disagree with that, but in the future is undefined, isn't it? In the future isn't 2027, is it? Let's face facts here. In the future probably is sometime in the 2050s. It's not a win-win. A win-win would be they all went home. Gone, see ya, no room, bye. Over time, this could replace entirely the need for private contractors to have any role in the system. Each local authority could be asked to step up and do their bit. The government has pledged £100 million towards the scheme, with figures suggesting the funding would be able to deliver 900 new homes. Under the programme, councils would be given the funds to purchase properties for the asylum seeker accommodation, including in new housing developments where homes are struggling to find buyers. Well, that'll be to do with price. People are priced out. There aren't a lack of buyers out there. There are young couples, young people, single people, older people that all want to buy homes. They just can't afford to because inflation's through the roof, the economy's on its arse, and house prices are ridiculous. The solution is not at this point to give those homes to asylum seekers who have done absolutely nothing for it. Properties would be then leased back to the Home Office and eventually added to the council's stock of social housing. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. They're saying that tens of councils have said they've indicated they'd be up for this. Of course, the Labour-run councils would be up for this. We're going to see changes in May, of course. If the Labour Party allow local elections to go ahead, we will see plenty of reform councils and perhaps this stuff will be turned around. This is not a solution. This is not a solution at all. The solution is to stop the boats. That's the solution. So what does the average man on the street think of this? Well, what better place to find out than the audience of Patrick Christie tonight on GB News on a Friday evening. Look at what this chap had to say.
Go on, sir. What would you like to say?
Excuse my croaky voice that I've been poorly over Christmas, but
right.
Really, my question to you, Barry, really, to be honest, and the rest of the panel, but specifically to you, is how should the public respond to a government that appears to ignore the will of the people? And they just do not address what Adam has said. I travel around the country and everybody's saying what Adam says and this lady says.
Okay.
Everybody says it. Because there is a powder cake, which is the British people. And believe me, when it comes, it will bring this government down. So how will you respond to that?
Go on then, Barry.
A powder keg. You know, It's emotional language, and you cannot blame people at this point. What else would you call it out there right now? It doesn't matter who you speak to, left, right, centre, up, down, in, out. Politically, people have had enough. It's only the left-wing peripherals, the far left, the Zach Polanskis, that don't see this as an issue. Obviously, some of the Labour Party clearly don't see this as an issue. But that said, to be fair, Barry Gardner's on the panel here. He's a Labour MP for Brent, someone I've met before. A sound guy, actually, in my experience. And he is just as annoyed as the rest of us. Check this out.
And so what you were saying about the absolute anger and frustration of anybody who has been waiting to get a house on a council house waiting list, to see suddenly there is a new category of people who get housing separate from normal residents in this country.
But what are you going to do about it? What's the government going to do about it?
I looked at this when I saw the 100 million, right? I thought, okay, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to incentivise councils where there may be not a housing problem. That's what I thought, not a housing problem, to bring back into use old properties that need renovating. That would have made some sort of sense, right? But when you showed the list of the councils who were actually applying for this, actually they are councils, all of whom have a serious housing problem. So I can't see anything more calculated to get up the nostrils of the British people than this.
Well said, Barry. Well said. He cannot see anything more calculated to get up the nostrils of the British people than this. I've spoken about this across my videos, malevolence. We've gone past the point of accepting these people as stupid. Some of them are stupid, some of them are useful idiots, but some of them, particularly the ones in Whitehall that sit behind the scenes, stroking the cat, thinking about ways to annoy the British people now, they are malevolent. The whole idea that in areas like Hackney, Peterborough, Powys, where these people, Brighton and Hove, where these councils are saying, yeah, we'll do this, there's no shortage of buyers or people waiting to get on council house lists there. No shortage whatsoever. This is purely ideological, and it's driving a massive wedge between those classes, the council class and the people class. And what's sickening, what's truly sickening to me, is these people believe they speak for the people. They don't have any idea whatsoever. So, we appear to be stuck in a doom loop. A doom loop that's been in place for a considerable amount of time. But what can be done about it? Well, very little, in fact. And we know this because Dominic Cummings has told us this. Dominic Cummings, whether you like him or loathe him, is someone that's been inside the system and has been willing, once outside the system, to report back like nobody ever has done before. He recently did an interview on the Quite Right podcast, a Spectator podcast, with Michael Gove, and this is what he said.
The system will rally behind continue infinite immigration. There's no way out. After all, the Treasury says economically there's no alternative, and it's racist to have an alternative. So, carry on infinite.
So you don't think there are
immigration.
signs that that is changing in number 10 now with Labour's and Shabana Mahmood and all of that?
Oh, it's all complete nonsense.
No.
They won't do anything on the boats because they can't do anything on the boats. The boat is hardwired because of the Human Rights Act and judicial review and how Whitehall operates. It doesn't matter. Shabana says whatever. Rishi said all of this stuff in 2023. I predicted in January 23, when he made all these statements, I said repeatedly, it's all total bullshit. He will not stop the boats. The boats will carry on. The legislation they're passing will have zero effect. And I very confidently predict the same thing now.
What about
They cannot control illegal migration. That will carry on.
Astonishing. Nothing can be done. The status quo will remain. And what he goes on to say later in the podcast is this is all because of lawyers, government lawyers, human rights lawyers, the ECHR, All the time we are in the ECHR, we cannot do anything about it. Now, for many people within Whitehall, the ECHR isn't just a legal document. It's a gospel. It's the Bible. It's religious. It's above religion. And they will never, ever, ever want to leave it. So even if Reform, Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe, anybody you can think of, your mate down the pub, gets into power, unless they get out of the ECHR, they will be able to do nothing about this. Nothing at all. So we either have someone bold enough that just wipes the slate clean and says, we are not doing this anymore. We are going to factory reset the entire system and all the pain, the tremendous pain that will come with that, or we accept. We accept that this is how our future looks. Uncontrolled migration, illegals coming in on boats to the tune of 50,000 a year, then getting put up in council housing ahead of you, ahead of your family, ahead of the most needy in this country, people that have been on lists for decades. And it will get worse and worse and worse. Change is needed. Crikey. Well, there you have it. This story gets darker and darker and darker. And I don't think we should lose hope. It looks like there's very little we can do with it in the near term. But I think we can vote our way to change. I think perhaps reform might be the way forward. My jury's still out on that. It really is. I want to see how they're going to do this. Nigel Farage has not built a team yet. How is he going to do this? We need to... I mean, if you listen to Dominic Cummings, it's not just a case of getting the right people in power. It's getting the right people in power who are going to be brave enough to stand up to Whitehall. And you can only do that with a large team. One man, Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe, whoever you want to choose. Like I say, your mate down the pub. They cannot do this alone. They not only need a team, they need an incredibly strong team, a large team that can deliver this and is willing to dismantle 100 years of convention. I'm loving making this daily content. Please do support me by subscribing to the YouTube channel, clicking like and sharing this amongst your friends. Also, go across to my Substack and subscribe there. If you want to help me continue to make this content, you can subscribe monthly there for £5 or annually for £50. You don't have to do that. If you can't afford to, none of my content is behind a paywall. You can continue to enjoy it for free. But until next time, keep it real.